When you open your eyes in the morning, you're not just waking up to another day, you're waking up to the most important decision of your life. Every single morning is a fork in the road. You can choose to drift, to stumble into the day, reacting to whatever the world throws at you, or you can choose to step into it with power, with clarity, and with absolute intention. Because make no mistake, your morning decides everything. Think about it. The first 10 minutes of your day set the tone for the next 10 hours. If you wake up and you grab your phone, start scrolling, compare your life to strangers on social media, check emails, drown in notifications, you've already lost. You've handed over control before your feet even touch the floor. But if you wake up and you breathe, you prime your mind, you move your body, you feed your soul, you're unstoppable. You build momentum. And momentum is everything. Winners are not made in the middle of the day when things are chaotic. They're made in the morning when no one is watching. Champions set their state before the world has a chance to knock them off course. The way you prime your body, the way you prime your emotions, the way you prime your focus, that's where your power comes from. Success is not about talent. It's not about luck. It's not even about discipline in the long run. It's about rituals. It's about what you do every single day, especially in the moments when nobody's looking. And your morning ritual, that is the foundation. That is the anchor that locks you into certainty, focus, and energy. Let me ask you something. How do you expect to win in life if you start your day behind? How do you expect to lead, to create, to build if you're waking up in reaction mode? That's like showing up to a championship game halfway through, exhausted, unprepared, and hoping you'll somehow pull off a miracle. That's not how life works. Life rewards those who prepare. Life rewards those who condition themselves to take charge the moment the sun comes up. When you wake up, your mind is fresh. Your subconscious is wide open. That's when you have the power to program yourself. That's when you decide, am I going to step into courage, into gratitude, into focus, or am I going to drag the weight of yesterday into today? Your morning decides your identity. It decides who you are showing up as, and who you are showing up as, that decides your destiny. Energy is everything. You can't pour into your family, your business, your dreams if your tank is empty. And energy doesn't come from coffee. It doesn't come from sugar. It doesn't come from external stimulation. True energy comes from how you breathe, how you move, how you prime your nervous system to come alive. The moment you open your eyes, you have a choice. Do I bring life into my body, or do I roll over and let life beat me down? Gratitude is everything. You cannot be angry, fearful, or stressed when you are deeply grateful. And the morning is the perfect time to practice it. Before the world demands your attention, you take a moment to anchor into what is already beautiful, what is already working, what you already have. That shift changes everything. Suddenly problems shrink, opportunities expand, and your spirit rises. Focus is everything. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you wake up and you focus on stress, you get more stress. If you focus on obstacles, you see more walls. But if you focus on outcomes, if you focus on solutions, if you focus on what's possible, you wire your brain to win. That's how leaders think. That's how visionaries create. That's how dreamers turn dreams into reality. I want you to understand something. You don't need to overhaul your entire life today. You don't need to climb the mountain all at once. All you need to do is own your morning. Own those first moments. Train yourself to wake up with purpose. Move your body. Breathe deeply. Feed your mind with something empowering. Set 3 outcomes for the day, not a to-do list of 100 meaningless tasks, but 3 outcomes that will move your life forward. And then attack the day like your future depends on it, because it does. The difference between a life of mediocrity and a life of greatness is hidden in the details of your morning. The world's most successful people aren't more gifted than you. They're not luckier. They just learned to master their state before the world woke up. They created rituals that put them in power while everyone else was still asleep. That's not magic. It's choice. So the question is simple. What will you choose tomorrow morning? Will you wake up and hand over your life to chance, to chaos, to distraction? Or will you wake up and declare, this is my day, this is my life, this is my time, because your morning decides everything. When you first open your eyes in the morning, you step into the most critical window of influence over your entire life. It may feel like just another day, another sunrise, another sequence of hours ahead of you, but in reality, the way you spend the first few minutes after waking determines the momentum that carries you forward. Think about momentum like a train leaving a station. In those first few feet, it is slow, deliberate, building strength, but once it gains speed, once it finds its rhythm, it becomes almost unstoppable. That is exactly how your mornings work. The energy, focus, and intention you bring into the first few minutes of your day set the direction and the force that push you through everything else that comes your way. If you wake up and immediately react to distractions, your phone buzzing, emails piling up, social media demanding your attention, you have already lost control before you even left your bed. You have chosen to step into the day as a reactor, not a creator. That simple choice of where you put your attention first thing in the morning cascades into your mood, your decisions, your interactions, and ultimately the results you create. On the other hand, if you wake up with clarity, with rituals that ground you, energize you, and remind you of your purpose, you step into the day with momentum that multiplies itself as the hours unfold. You can feel it in your body when you wake up with power. You walk differently. You think differently. You handle problems differently. And people respond to you differently because your energy broadcasts leadership, certainty, and focus. The truth is, most people underestimate the power of those first minutes. They think the day begins when they walk into work, when they send that first message, when they check off that first task. But the day actually begins long before that. The day begins with what you feed your mind, what you feed your body, and what you allow yourself to feel when you first wake up. If you begin with stress, the whole day feels heavier. If you begin with gratitude, the whole day feels lighter. If you begin with purpose, the whole day feels directed. If you begin with distraction, the whole day feels scattered. Every morning, you are building a foundation, and the strength of that foundation determines whether the weight of the day collapses you or propels you forward. It is not about how long you spend in the morning routine. It is about how intentional you are with it. 5 minutes of conscious breathing and setting outcomes for the day can shift your physiology and psychology more than an hour of scrolling aimlessly through a phone. 10 minutes of moving your body, stretching, feeling your heart pump, reminding yourself that you are alive can ignite more energy than 3 cups of coffee ever could. The first decision you make in the morning to own those minutes or to give them away creates a ripple effect that shapes every other decision that follows. And decisions compound. One strong choice leads to another. One weak choice leads to another. By the time the afternoon arrives, you either feel unstoppable because you set the tone, or you feel overwhelmed because you let the world dictate your rhythm. Momentum is invisible but undeniable. You can't see it, but you feel it in every aspect of your life. If you start your morning late, rushing, stressed, grabbing your keys, spilling coffee, trying to make up for lost time, that frantic energy follows you. It clouds your thinking. It makes you impatient with others. It makes small problems look bigger than they really are. But if you start your morning with presence, with awareness, with strength, then challenges feel smaller, solutions feel closer, and opportunities reveal themselves. The way you begin creates a lens through which you see the rest of the day. That lens is either blurry with anxiety or sharp with clarity. Successful people across all fields understand this, even if they describe it differently. Some call it a morning routine, others call it a ritual, others call it priming, but the essence is the same. They don't leave their mornings to chance. They engineer those first few minutes to condition their mind and body to operate at the highest level. They are not waiting for motivation to show up halfway through the day. They create momentum by choosing power over passivity the moment they wake up. They know that momentum is not an accident. It is not something that magically arrives. It is built, it is designed, it is earned in those early minutes when the world is quiet and you are in control. Imagine two people waking up tomorrow. One rolls out of bed, hits snooze 3 times, checks their phone, sees news that stresses them out, rushes to get ready, skips breakfast, and leaves the house already feeling behind. The other wakes up, takes a deep breath, stretches, drinks water, writes down 3 things they're grateful for, and focuses on the 3 outcomes they want to achieve. These two people live in the same world, face the same economy, the same politics, the same chaos, but their experience of the day will be completely different. Why? Because the first one gave away control of their morning while the second one owned it. And when you own your morning, you own your day. This principle applies whether you are an entrepreneur, a parent, a student, or an athlete. The first moments of your day dictate your performance. A leader who begins the morning in chaos spreads that chaos to their team. A parent who begins the morning stressed passes that stress to their children. An athlete who begins the morning focused sets themselves up to push harder in training. It doesn't matter what your role is, your energy, your focus, and your state are contagious. People feel it and it shapes not only your day, but also the days of those around you. The most important part to understand is that you have the power to control it. No one can take away those first few minutes from you unless you give them away. You may not control what happens later in the day. You may not control how other people act. You may not control every challenge that shows up, but you do control how you prime yourself in the morning. And when you win those first few minutes, you are already ahead. You are already moving with momentum that makes you resilient, resourceful, and unstoppable no matter what happens later. Your morning rituals define your energy, focus, and emotional state. And this is not just a motivational idea. It is biology. It is psychology. It is the science of how humans operate at their peak. When you wake up, your body is in a state of transition. Your brain chemistry is shifting. Your hormones are recalibrating. Your nervous system is waking up from rest. This is the most sensitive time to program your mind and body, and the rituals you engage in during those moments will either empower you or drain you. If you stumble into the day without intention, reacting to whatever stimulus you face, you are essentially giving away the steering wheel of your life. But when you create rituals that prime your energy, direct your focus, and center your emotions, you take control of the most important resource you have, your state. Energy is not just physical. It's the fuel that drives every action you take. If your energy is low, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are, how skilled you are, or how motivated you are, you will hesitate, procrastinate, and struggle. But if your energy is high, you move with certainty, you act with power, and you influence others with conviction. Morning rituals that move your body, that activate your physiology, that get your blood pumping, literally change the chemicals in your brain. Exercise, stretching, deep breathing, these aren't just healthy habits. They are switches that turn on energy at a cellular level. Oxygen floods your system, endorphins are released, cortisol levels shift, and suddenly you feel alive. That shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you chose a ritual that commands your body to deliver energy instead of waiting for it to magically appear. Focus is just as critical. Where your focus goes, your day follows. If you begin the morning with random distractions, checking messages, scrolling through feeds, thinking about everything that could go wrong, you scatter your attention before you even start. But when you create a ritual that directs your focus, you command your brain to filter the world differently. Writing down outcomes, visualizing success, meditating on what you want to achieve, these are not just nice practices. They literally rewire your brain to look for solutions and opportunities instead of problems. And the reticular activating system in your brain is like a filter, and your rituals train it. If you prime it with fear, you will see threats all day. If you prime it with purpose, you will see possibilities all day. The difference is not in the external world, but in the internal rituals that program your focus. Your emotional state is the third pillar and perhaps the most powerful. Emotions are not random, they are conditioned. If you wake up in a negative state, and you don't shift it, that state follows you. If you wake up stressed and you don't interrupt it, stress becomes the filter through which you experience everything. But when you create rituals of gratitude, rituals of appreciation, rituals of reflection, you anchor positive emotions before the world has a chance to knock you down. Gratitude is especially powerful because it is the antidote to fear and anger. The brain cannot hold both gratitude and stress at the same time. By simply focusing each morning on 3 things you are grateful for, by taking a moment to feel that gratitude fully, you change the entire emotional tone of your day. That's not theory, that's neuroscience. Emotions are created by focus and physiology, and your rituals shape both. Think of your morning as a laboratory where you design the state you want to live in. Do you want to live in energy or fatigue? Do you want to live in focus or distraction? Do you want to live in gratitude or frustration? The choice is not random, it's intentional. The rituals you perform are the code that programs your system. Just like a computer runs on software, you run on rituals. If your software is sloppy, waking up late, rushing, skipping movement, drowning in noise, your output will be sloppy. But if your software is sharp, moving your body, breathing deeply, focusing on outcomes, feeling gratitude, your output will be sharp. Life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you prepare for, and rituals are preparation in action. The beauty of rituals is that they don't need to be complicated. People often think they need an elaborate 2-hour routine to transform their mornings, but the truth is even 10 or 15 minutes of intentional rituals can change everything. Imagine waking up, drinking a glass of water to rehydrate your body, doing a few minutes of deep breathing or stretching to wake up your physiology, writing down 3 outcomes for the day to direct your focus, and finishing with 3 things you're grateful for to elevate your emotions. That sequence alone creates energy, focus, and emotional strength. It doesn't require expensive equipment or endless time. It requires a decision, a choice to live by design instead of default. The greatest performers in the world understand this principle. Athletes use rituals to get into peak state before competition. Musicians use rituals to channel creativity before they step on stage. Entrepreneurs use rituals to sharpen their focus before critical decisions. Rituals are not just habits, they are anchors that lock you into the state you need to perform at your best. And mornings are the perfect time to install them because mornings are when your mind is most open, your body is most impressionable, and your emotions are most malleable. The rituals you practice in the morning don't just affect that hour, they ripple through every hour that follows. When you think about it, life is really just a collection of states. Every decision you make, every action you take, every relationship you nurture or neglect comes down to the state you're in at that moment. If you're tired, you make poor decisions. If you're angry, you say things you regret. If you're grateful and focused, you create opportunities and deepen connections. So if state determines your destiny, and rituals determine your state, then the equation is simple. Your morning rituals determine your destiny. This is not a motivational line. It is the blueprint for how human beings shape their lives. Rituals also create consistency. Motivation may come and go, but rituals are habits that lock in progress. You don't need to rely on feeling like doing it. You just do it, and by doing it, you create the feelings you want. That's the difference between amateurs and masters. Amateurs wait for the right mood to act. Masters act, and by acting, they generate the right mood. Your morning rituals give you that power every single day. So when you think about energy, focus, and emotional state, remember they are not gifts, they are not accidents, they are not random. They are engineered, and the engineering happens through rituals. What you choose to do when you wake up is not small, it is everything. It's the blueprint for how you will show up, how you will perform, and how you will experience life that day. Gratitude and intention in the morning rewire your mind for success because the brain is always looking for patterns. It is always scanning the environment for what to focus on, and whatever you direct it toward in those first moments becomes the filter through which you experience the rest of the day. If you wake up and your first thought is stress, your mind will continue searching for stressors, magnifying them, feeding them until you feel overwhelmed. If you wake up and your first thought is gratitude, your mind is primed to notice abundance, to notice opportunities, to notice everything that is working for you instead of against you. This is not just about positive thinking. It is about literally training your brain to interpret reality in a way that serves you instead of drains you. And gratitude has a neurological power that most people don't recognize. When you practice gratitude, when you actually take a moment to feel it deeply, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the chemicals of happiness and fulfillment. Gratitude interrupts fear, it interrupts anger, it interrupts anxiety. The mind cannot hold a state of true gratitude and a state of fear at the same time. So when you begin your morning by focusing on even the simplest blessings, your breath, your health, your family, and the fact that you have another day to live, you are rewiring your brain chemistry to operate from strength, not weakness. You are shifting the baseline of your emotional state from scarcity to abundance. And when you live in a state of abundance, your decisions, your actions, your interactions are completely transformed. Intention is equally powerful because the brain loves direction. If you don't set it, it will wander aimlessly, pulled by whatever distraction appears. The difference between someone who feels in control of their life and someone who feels tossed around by circumstances often comes down to one thing: intention. When you wake up and set clear intentions for how you want to show up, what you want to accomplish, and what emotional state you want to live in, you activate a different level of clarity. You give your subconscious a target to aim at. Without that, you are like a ship without a compass, drifting and reacting to the waves. With intention, you are steering the ship, adjusting the sails, moving toward a chosen destination, even when the waters get rough. When gratitude and intention are combined, the effect multiplies. Gratitude grounds you in the present moment, reminding you of the gifts you already have. Intention pulls you into the future, giving you a vision of where you want to go. Gratitude fills you with appreciation, while intention fills you with direction. One connects you to the now, the other drives you toward what's next. This balance of presence and purpose is what creates emotional stability and unstoppable momentum. You wake up anchored in what is good and driven by what can be better. That duality is what makes you powerful because it removes the two biggest enemies of progress: fear of loss and confusion about direction. Consider the way most people start their mornings. They wake up, grab their phone, see something negative, and immediately feel a sense of lack or frustration. They haven't chosen gratitude, so their brain fixates on what's missing. They haven't set intention, so their brain is hijacked by external demands. From that point forward, the day feels like an uphill battle. But imagine someone else waking up, closing their eyes for a moment and thinking of 3 things they are truly grateful for. Maybe it's their family. Maybe it's the simple ability to breathe. Maybe it's the chance to grow and learn today. They feel that gratitude in their body. Then they set an intention: today I will bring energy into every room I walk into. Today I will focus on 3 meaningful outcomes. Today I will choose patience over anger. That person hasn't changed the external world one bit, but they have changed their internal world completely. And it's the internal world that determines how the external one is experienced. The science supports this. Neural pathways strengthen with repetition. When you practice gratitude daily, you are not just creating a momentary feeling, you are strengthening circuits in your brain that default to appreciation. Over time, gratitude becomes your baseline state. The same is true for intention. The more you deliberately decide what matters before the day begins, the more your brain learns to filter distractions and stay focused. This is how habits shape identity. You don't just do gratitude and intention, you become someone who lives in gratitude and intention. And that identity shift is where lasting success comes from. Gratitude also changes the way you perceive challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as punishments, you begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, you focus on what can be learned, what can be improved, what can be appreciated even in hardship. This reframing makes you resilient because it is not the absence of problems that makes life fulfilling, but the ability to navigate them with strength. Intention in parallel prevents you from being distracted by minor inconveniences. When you know what your day is about, when you have decided what matters most, small frustrations can't throw you off. You don't waste time on things that don't align with your vision. You stay on track, moving forward with consistency. Ritualizing gratitude and intention in the morning doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as writing down 3 things you're grateful for and 3 outcomes you intend to achieve. It can be as simple as closing your eyes and visualizing the person you want to be today, calm, focused, powerful, and loving, and then stepping into that version of yourself before you leave the house. The key is not complexity. The key is consistency. Even 2 minutes of genuine gratitude and intention can create more shift in your day than 2 hours of unconscious reaction. The most successful people in the world, regardless if they have this principle, some journal, some meditate, some pray, some visualize, but the essence is the same. They don't start the day by letting the outside world tell them how to feel or what to do. They decide first, they align first, they program their mind first. And because of that, they show up differently. They influence differently. They lead differently. They succeed differently. When you align gratitude and intention every morning, you are literally designing your nervous system to thrive. You are conditioning your body and mind to live in higher states of energy, clarity, and fulfillment. You are not waiting for the world to give you permission to feel good or to focus. You are generating those states yourself. And when you become the source instead of the seeker, you become unshakable. Nothing outside of you can control you because you've already decided who you are and how you will live the moment the day began. Owning your morning is the foundation of owning your life because the first hours of your day are where you build the discipline, the certainty, and the mindset that determine everything else you create. Most people think that success is built in the big moments, in the boardroom, in the spotlight, in the middle of some dramatic decision. But in reality, success is built in the quiet, consistent rituals that shape who you are when no one else is watching. The morning is the most powerful place to take control of because it is the time when you are least distracted, when your mind is most impressionable, and when you have the opportunity to align yourself before the world tries to pull you in 100 directions. If you learn to own that window, to claim it as your time to master your state, you create a foundation so strong that nothing can shake you. Owning your morning is about declaring that you will not live in reaction, but in creation. When you wake up late, rush through the motions, and stumble into the day, you are starting from a place of chaos. That chaos leaks in every interaction, every decision, every choice you make. But when you wake up with intention, when you take time to move your body, fuel your mind, connect with gratitude, and set clear outcomes, you start from a place of power. That power becomes your anchor. No matter what challenges show up later, you have already primed yourself to handle them. Owning your morning means you are not a prisoner of circumstance and you are the designer of your reality. Think about what happens when you own your mornings consistently. You begin to trust yourself at a deeper level. You prove, and day after day, that you can follow through. That self-trust is one of the rarest and most valuable assets in life because once you trust yourself, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You don't wait for motivation because you know you can rely on your own discipline. You don't get thrown off by temporary setbacks because you know you are building a long-term foundation. Every time you choose to get up and own your morning, you are casting a vote for the kind of person you want to be. And those votes compound. They become your identity. Eventually, you are no longer someone who tries to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You are no longer someone who hopes for energy. You generate energy. You are no longer someone who waits for clarity. You create clarity. That transformation begins in the morning. Owning your morning also gives you leverage over time. Most people complain they don't have enough hours in the day, but the truth is they waste the most valuable ones. The early hours are when your brain is sharpest, when your willpower is strongest, and when you are least distracted. If you give those hours to scrolling, to reacting, to putting out other people's fires, you are sacrificing the most potent time you have. But if you claim those hours to work on yourself, to plan, to create, to sharpen your vision, you will do more in one focused hour than others do in an entire day. Owning your morning is not just about having a routine. It is about reclaiming the time of day when you are most capable of changing your life. It also sets the standard for how others experience you. If you show up in the morning already stressed, already behind, already scattered, that energy spills over onto your family, your coworkers, your team. But if you show up centered, energized, and focused, you elevate everyone around you. Leadership begins with state, and state begins with morning rituals. Owning your morning means owning the influence you have on others. People will feel the certainty in your voice, the clarity in your decisions, and the energy in your presence, because you have already aligned yourself before stepping into the world. The morning is also when you can align your life with your values. During the chaos of the day, it is easy to get pulled away from what matters most. You get caught in task demands and distractions. But in the morning, you have a sacred window where you can connect with your vision, remind yourself of your values, and recommit to the life you are building. If health is a value, the morning is where you invest in it. If family is a value, the morning is where you create rituals of connection. If growth is a value, the morning is where you learn, reflect, or journal. By owning your morning, you live in alignment with what matters most, instead of letting the noise of the world dictate your priorities. When you own your morning, you also condition resilience. Life is unpredictable. Challenges will come. Stress will appear. But when you have primed your mind and body early in the day, you are not entering those situations from zero. You are entering them from a peak state. You already built energy through movement. You already stabilized your emotions through gratitude. You already sharpened your focus through intention. So when life throws a curveball, you are ready. You don't crumble because you've already built resilience into your system. Owning your morning is like putting on armor before stepping into battle. You don't wait until the arrows are flying to prepare. You start before the fight even begins. The power of owning your morning is not in one single day, but in what it does to the trajectory of your life. One strong morning makes for one strong day. A week of strong mornings makes for a week of progress. A month of strong mornings creates unstoppable momentum. And a year of strong mornings can completely transform your body, your relationships, your business, your finances, your happiness. People often underestimate how quickly life can change when you change the structure of your mornings. Because the truth is, you don't need to change everything at once. You only need to change the first part of your day, and everything else begins to shift. Owning your morning also rewires your identity. At first, it might feel like discipline, like effort, like something you are forcing yourself to do. But over time, it becomes who you are. You stop being someone who struggles to find energy because you've conditioned yourself to generate it daily. You stop being someone who gets lost in distractions because you've trained your brain to focus every morning. You stop being someone who feels powerless in the face of challenges because you've built the habit of stepping into power at the start of every day. Identity is destiny, and identity is built through repetition. Every morning you own is another brick in the identity you are creating. Owning your morning is also a declaration of self-respect. When you choose to dedicate the first part of your day to growth, to energy, to clarity, you are telling yourself that you matter. You are saying your vision matters more than distractions, your health matters more than comfort, your purpose matters more than excuses. That level of self-respect builds confidence, and confidence is what makes people magnetic, influential, and unstoppable. The world treats you the way you treat yourself, and by owning your mornings, you set the tone for how you demand to be treated. Owning your morning is not about perfection. Some days you will feel tired, some days you will feel resistance, some days life will test you. But ownership is not about never slipping. It is about choosing again and again to claim those hours as your own. It is about returning to your rituals even when it's inconvenient. It is about building a foundation so strong that even when the storms come, you remain steady. The consistency of ownership is what creates transformation. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe